I'm going to start talking about the problems that are presented as an independent filmmaker. And as we all know, problem number one is money. Making films is very expensive, and getting quality equipment really represents a big part of your budget. Also, insurance, because all that equipment is so expensive that you don't want anything happen to it. So normally it gets like half and half, at least in my case. So it's normally if as an independent filmmaker, most of your money goes toward your equipment. Also, props have to seem real because everything that doesn't seem real will take you and your audience out of your story and your movie, and that's the last thing you want. The camera quality doesn't really mean that you're going to have a good movie, since most of the time your core has to be based on a good story. Examples like that are Tangerine, an independent film just with an iPhone. In my opinion, it's a great film because it has great location, great script, great performances. It all happens in LA. So now I feel like Hollywood has great equipment but lacks of mainly good stories and good scripts. So yeah, having a good camera and good equipment doesn't really mean that you're going to have a good film. So that is why I feel that students really need to take advantage of all the tools that university give to us to make these films, since most film schools give equipment, free equipment to students for them to make films, and that's how I mainly do my work. The films I did in class were seen only there. I upload them in YouTube in the class account, and that's basically it. Mainly because that is not how most of my work looks like in my university. You're expected to bring big production with big teams because it feels more like a competition, and that wasn't the case here. So I felt free to make like more honest films and more personal, since here no one was really trying to prove anything. This class really felt more as an experimental area of film, which I really love. So I got the chance to create new stuff and really try something new, and I really enjoyed it, mainly because, as I said, I had to try something new and get out of my comfort zone, and probably I wouldn't have tried it any other time. So it really helped me expand my film as an art. So seeing these projects as challenges really helped me to get creative with them. So why did I did the films I did? The first one I made was called Letter to a Friend, and it shows the relationship between two friends working around Brighton. This was based on a real letter that I wrote to a friend, which made it more personal. It was kind of hard to edit. The two actresses are my friends, Carol and Desiree, and it was a really relaxed production since we were just wandering around Brighton. I would get some footage about them without they noticing, and that's why I felt their performances felt so natural because they weren't even aware that I was filming. I wanted to try two things with this film that we talk about class, and it was the Año Uña director who basically made a film by taking random footage and then putting it together, trying to find a story out of it. I did that with the editing, and then I added the text, the narration to add some substance to the story, since I felt it was lacking of depth, like there was nothing really happening, as the difference of Año Uña, which really made me appreciate the movie more, since it is hard to tell a story, and it is hard to tell a story and make a movie, and I feel like it is even harder if you don't really have a story and just have to find it out of some random pictures you took on a trip. So I made another film which was based on make a film that consists only of one take and which addresses a political issue that concerns you. And with that one, I decided to talk to some of my friends that are dance majors, and I told them to. They told them I told them about the project, and I told them that I wanted to come with a dance based on something they cared about, because I felt that by letting them choose the topic that they would care about, they would come with a more honest and original dance, which I felt they actually did. The song was an interesting choice, but I do think they were able to say something with their dance moves and the way they perform and their body language and the way they interact one with another. This was an interesting short film to make, since normally as a director you have to make most of the artistic decisions in general. And with this one, I was just holding a camera most of the time, following the dancers around. Since I don't really know much about dancing, I was okay with it. but by the end I was really happy with the result, since it was them doing what they like and me doing what I like. So it was a very positive message by the end. The last film I made was about make a film about human rights issue that does not feature any synchronization between image and sound. So I decided that instead of picking just one human rights issue, I wanted to talk about human rights in general. I wanted to be as diverse as possible with the cast and the people presented in the video. But the image projected on them is the stars and the universe, mainly because I, I really wanted to portray the fact that we are very, very small when compared with what's really out there in the universe, since from that perspective, all our problems just seem like so small and easy to solve. Um, which I think is very deep, since human rights were created to protect ourselves with dignity. And the fact that there are still people around the world that have no human rights, there are children dying every day, there's people living in terrible conditions, it's just very depressing. And I really wanted to talk about this in the video. So what do I learn from the module about film culture, about the practicalities of making film, about yourself, and perhaps also about the world more in general? I did learn something, and I think that I really gained a broader understanding to what does guerrilla filmmaking really means. I had a very different idea of what it was. Now I think that I feel even more passionate about film, since guerrilla filmmaking really represents making film with anything you have. And because of that, I feel like those films, the ones we watch in class and the ones we read about, really gain a different kind of value, since they represent months of hard work and personal sacrifice to finish this film. Mostly the documentaries about war and people involved in people that really just want to tell a story, and they're not allowed to. They're not allowed to speak their minds. Um, when if we go back to human rights, that's a big violation to them. I do believe so. And as the reading says, it is very important to find your story in a sea of stories, since when you are making a documentary, you are basically just going with the flow, trying to tell something when you don't really know what's going to happen next. So it just makes it harder to come with something good and not just an underdeveloped film, or half of a story, or just a small piece of a story, since you have no control on what's going to happen by the end of the day. We're talking with Red about our resources as filmmakers. Sometimes you can't choose what your resources are. Even you have one camera or you have five cameras, if they're good or not, you have to work with what you have, and you have to learn to like it to bring a quality product. Because when you want to tell a story, the medium doesn't really. It's not important if you really take your story out there and you really tell the story that you want to tell. For example, with Kid Icarus, it wasn't about the main character's movie, but about him making a movie, which introduced you to this weird inception concept about a movie about a movie. Um, I think that there are so many other examples about these kind of movies, like the best worst movie ever, which I really like, and it's about a movie called Troll 2, which is very funny because it shares many similar aspects with Kid Icarus. Mainly a director that doesn't know what he's doing, and he has no idea about how to direct and make a movie, which is mainly sad but also funny. Now we have films like Go Fish um, that are very rare, um, mainly because with films like this, that they don't really want to talk to big audiences. They just want to portray a new and more realistic face of the homosexual world, which, as the reading refers to, it's a lesbian minor cinema. Minor because these films are aimed to reach a small audience. But with products like this, I feel like they are so good that you end up reaching everyone, and everyone can enjoy it, because for a moment you are part of this world and you really feel like you're experiencing things with these characters. To finish this video, I really want to go back to what I said a few minutes ago about how this class really helped me understand film better, since I felt like it really took me into the basics again. And going into the basics is always good um, to understand something, and I really think this class really helped me to go further in my understanding in film.